Okay, so I know you guys are starting Pride and Prejudice. No applause? Crickets? You guys aren't excited? Okay, well, I understand. Pride and Prejudice was written a long time ago. In 2013, Pride and Prejudice was celebrated 200 years. Yay! Yeah, so I understand why you kids think, why on the sacredness of Wi-Fi and Snapchat do we have to read a book that was written so long ago? Hold up just a second. I'm going to give you the quick DL and see if I can catch you guys' interest. Here's a really quick refresher if you fell asleep during our teacher's lecture on introducing you to this book. The book centers on Elizabeth Bennet, the second oldest of 5 sisters. She's best friend worthy, she's feisty, and speaks her mind, and openly defies the social standards of female expectations. She's pretty awesome. Then we have the dashing Mr. Darcy. He's a mix of emotions. He's got cold manners and a stingy eye towards all women. There are other characters as well, and you will read about the calculated plays for status and establishing power, even if it means ignoring love and happiness. But going back a little bit further, we have Shakespeare, right? And I'm not going to get into Shakespeare. But if you guys have been introduced to Shakespeare, you know that there are themes that you can still pull from it that we still can relate to in the 21st century. What's clear about reading Jane Austen today is how much women in her novels have in common with so many women on reality TV. Yeah, I know. Let me get there first. In many of Austen's books, the endgame is marriage. And marriage in that time was power. In 2000, the first reality show on network television debuted on Fox, Who Wants to Marry a Multimillionaire? But it was featured a 2-hour special structured to mimic a beauty pageant in which 50 contestants participated in a contest to marry a man none of them had ever met. On The Daily Show, Jon Stewart described the spectacle as a televised dump on women's rights. The Bachelor took on the essential principle behind Who Wants to Marry a Multimillionaire, that women will sacrifice their independence, their body, and their dignity to fulfill the ultimate goal of marrying a wealthy man. It's wrapped up in a gauze of disgusting romance, which is not really romance. It's just gold digging. Yeah. What I'm about to reveal to you right now will blow your minds. So, hang on with me. The well-known Kardashian family quite resembles the Bennett family that you will soon read about. Yeah, I know, right? I'm not joking either. The Bennett family has all of the activity of an average episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So, Kris Jenner and Mrs. Bennett, whom you will find to be quite annoying. No offense, Kris. Thankfully, Kris doesn't have the high-pitched whine of Mrs. Bennett. However, their personalities are still on point. Then we have Mr. Bennett and Mrs. Bennett relationship, which is kind of like the Jenner couple. I'm talking about the beginning seasons, of course, before there was a Caitlyn. In humorous chapters, Mr. Bennett listens to Mrs. Bennett ramble about the newest gossip and what she tends to do to her daughters. Likewise, there are numerous episodes of Bruce Jenner nodding and ignoring Kris's rants. Pride and Prejudice has also inspired many book and movie adaptations, like Bridget Jones's Diary. First was a book and later became a film. Marvel has also published their take on this classic by releasing a short comic series of 5 issues that stays true to the original storyline and has sold more than 150,000 copies. That's pretty good for a classic. Detective novel author P.D. James has written a book called Death Comes to Pemberley, which is a murder mystery set 6 years after Elizabeth and Darcy's marriage. This later becomes a TV series too, and is pretty dang cool. And of course, can't forget this one. In 2009, QuickBooks releases Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which rocked the literary world. I mean, people were going out of their mind. They're like, you can't put zombies in classics? But I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty good movie, and because of it, more millennials actually know the plot of Pride and Prejudice. The ones who will or more likely are going to see is the 1995 miniseries starring Jennifer Isle and Colin Firth. The entire movie follows the book exactly through dialogue and casting choices. This is one of my favorites, as Colin Firth does a phenomenal job of capturing Mr. Darcy's coldness, mystery, and attractiveness. Okay, come on, it's Colin Firth. Also, the more recent one, the 2005 movie starring Keira Knightley, an Oscar-nominated performance, and Matthew Macfadyen. The thick book of Pride and Prejudice is crammed into 2 hours. However, because of the well-known Keira Knightley, more people have watched it and at least know what Pride and Prejudice is. So before you watch this video, you might have turned off that little brain of yours and complained inside about reading this book. But now you have learned something. The Bennett family is actually the Kardashians 200 years later, and zombies in 19th century books have a lot in common. Enjoy the sassiness and disses and hilarious characters in one of my favorite books, Pride and Prejudice. Have fun and don't skip chapters.